We are Tailgate Talk. Welcome into the show. It's been a little while. Let's see if I can shake off the rust here a little bit. I'm Matt Thomas. With me, we've got Kyle Mawhinney, Trent Williams, Kyle Schumann. We are coming to you in the midst of the fourth quarter of the Idaho Potato Bowl. It is the week before Christmas, but most importantly, it is our Rose Bowl preview episode. So let's not waste too much time. Let's just dive right in.
Well, two of us are going to the Rose Bowl here. We're ready to go.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm happy. I hope you guys have a good time.
No, he doesn't mean that.
No,
I really don't. But I'm just doing my part. I'm going to stay home and try to get the viewership up on TV so that Penn State can try to compete with the World Cup, because apparently I'm supposed to care about soccer and the viewership for that. But anyway, any initial comments on this game before we get started into a little bit more of the in-depth stuff?
I think out of all the playoff games, or even like the New Year's Six bowls, I think the Rose Bowl, right behind the semifinals, is the best bowl game out of like the big ones, in my opinion. Just like looking at all the matchups and everything, I think this is going to be just another classic Rose Bowl. I don't know if you guys, but like the past few Rose Bowls have been like, ever since our Rose Bowl, have been like almost all classics. I think the thing that been like one blowout, but like all of them have been just either shootouts or just all around just great finishes. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the best matchup. I think you've got the most, maybe not the most care factor on both sides, because I do think some of these K-State and some of those other teams care a decent amount too. But I think it's going to be a very entertaining matchup.
Yeah.
So
no, I was thinking about that too, like just the level of care from both teams. You're not seeing a ton of opt-outs, and the level of excitement from both programs seems to be pretty high.
Yeah, even both fan bases, it seems like the ticket sales and everything went really quick. So it's a good sign as well. The fans are into it.
Like we said, I think as of right now, I think Joey Porter is the only opt-out as of officially right now. If I miss any other news, I think he's the only one for us. Parker's like, wasn't any official news, was there?
Well, I mean, he technically opted out, but it's for injury. It's the same thing with Dalton, with like Dalton Kincaid on their side. Like, yeah, he opted out, but he's hurt too. So it's
I'm not gonna sure that's an opt-out. I think Parker would play, as I hope he would.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that number is pretty much set, because if you're going on the trend, last year, all the players that spoke with media on Bowl Media Day ended up playing. And pretty much any player that you would put on the fence about opting out spoke with the media in Rose Bowl Media Day last week. So should be ready to go. I think Sean Clifford's going to play.
Are we sure he has no more eligibility left? Because wouldn't surprise if he comes back for one more year at this point.
That Oregon tight end got 9 years. I mean, I think you could figure out a way to do that. But
yeah, he'll somehow convince the NCAA he played for Virginia this year, and he'll get an extra year.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too soon for that.
Yeah,
but he might. It's
not soon at all.
It's a little too soon.
I'm not afraid to. Not afraid to walk the line.
There goes all of our Virginia.
It's one thing walking the line. You're just playing hopscotch over that line right now. I think.
Yeah.
Everyone on Virginia got an extra year eligibility. What does that have to do with anything? It's still ridiculous. They missed 2 games.
Wouldn't be surprised if you made a joke about Mike Leach next, but
oh my gosh.
Now you're the one crossing the line.
I'm not.
I walked it, you crossed it.
I wouldn't make a joke. I think it's very sad what happened and tragic, and our hearts go out for him and the whole Mississippi State family. But you're the one making jokes about people and death. So
I would never ever make a joke about Mike Leach, favorite character of all time in the sport.
Kyle, I got one for Pick Your Plate. I'm thinking we add in the over-under for how long this video will stay up before YouTube takes it down.
PC Army will come and get us.
Yeah.
I'll just have Elon buy YouTube.
Here we go.
All right. Before we get completely canceled, Utah 10-3. Win Southern Utah, San Diego State, ASU, Oregon State, USC twice. Ooh. Someone better go get a COVID test in the background, I hear. Washington State, Arizona, Stanford, Colorado. Losses against Florida, which was an entertaining game to kick off the season, UCLA, and Oregon. Penn State has never played Utah. Kyle Whittingham's been there since 2004 as the head coach, and they are 8th in the final college football playoff rankings. So, as we said, only 3 opt-outs for Utah on their side right now. Dalton Kincaid, Clark Phillips, one of their leading cornerbacks, and Travion Thomas, their leading running back. No relation to myself. But where do we want to kick this one off?
I think we hinted at our last episode that Utah right behind Michigan is going to be the toughest team we played this year. Like in terms of skill positions, Ohio State, Michigan, probably better skill guys, like more like NFL draft eligible skill guys, but Utah is just that, just a tough team. And I think there's some areas where we match up well against them, but again, it's just going to be a tough game.
Yeah. I mean, both teams just seem to be coming in with a lot of momentum. I mean, we talked about the way we ended our season, but also Utah. I mean, that loss to Oregon was a tough one, but the way they beat USC in that championship game, like I just feel like they're coming in on a high as well.
And the thing that I mean, not going to try to act like I've watched tons of Pac-12 football, but what I've seen from Utah over the last year and a half, the Rose Bowl last year, the Florida game this year, the Pac-12 championship game this year, even that game against Oregon, they seem like they're a very momentum driven team. Like once they get the ball rolling, they're kind of hard to stop. So it's gonna be interesting. I think to Coco's point, controlling the line of scrimmage is going to be something where we were able to do it that last month because of who we were playing, but in those other matchups at some point, whether it was right out of the gates against Michigan or later on against Ohio State, it ended up getting us in the end. So
I feel like both programs are in that position, right? A similar level right now where they're trying to get that next signature win. Obviously Utah beat USC in the Pac-12. Like I feel like they're scratching to get that next tier of, can we compete for football playoff title, all this stuff. Obviously Utah, they might not be the greatest in recruiting, but they're a good program building team, like players stay for multiple years, all that stuff. So I feel like they're all trying to get to that next Penn State and Utah trying to get that level of, can we get to that Ohio State, Alabama level? So that's why I was trying to take away from it.
Yeah. I think with Utah, like Matt was saying, they are a very big momentum team for sure. I agree with that, but they feel like, to me, almost like a Penn State-esque team in years past where they're very inconsistent. They've had some games this year where they have not looked great at all. I mean, that Florida loss to start the season seemed like a good loss, one of those things if they exist, but it hasn't aged well at all. And then the Oregon game, I mean, yeah, Oregon's a good team, but that was just an ugly game. Like both teams played really terrible. Oregon played terrible. Utah played terrible. No one wanted to win that game. And then the other loss was UCLA, I think. So that's not a bad loss in there. But there's definitely been times throughout this season where they have shown weakness and have not looked like a good football team.
Well, trying to your point, like the Pac-12 championship was a microcosm of that. The first half, they looked like complete trash against USC. Like Caleb Williams was throwing the ball all over them. Then the second half, they're like, wow, this team can probably be in the playoff. But
microcosm, that's a 10-cent word for Coco right there. But I think we touched on it.
It's that Penn State Berks education right here.
There you go. I think we touched on it in the recap episode right after the news was dropped. I think a lot of this team goes where Cam Rising leads them. So when he's played well, they do well, and when he struggles, they struggle. He had like 3 interceptions in that Oregon game. I think one of the losses he had.
I think he has 7 interceptions on the season, and 3 of them came in that Oregon game, which quite ugly.
It's a similar story to what we've said when we've talked about some of these other quarterbacks this year. When he has a clean pocket, can be destructive, and when you get him under pressure, his performance really declines. So it's going to be key to see what Manny Diaz draws up here with a month to prepare. Through silly season, as he called it last week, and get Abdul Carter on him because his PFF goes to 46 from 83 versus clean pocket and under pressure. So the one area I am concerned about, though, is most of their passing attack comes from across the middle, that short across the middle. And we've seen a consistent theme all year long of the linebackers at times. That's an area where they struggle. So, again, a month to prepare. And that, I think, got better as the season went along. But we'll see what happens.
Matt, just like we just said, I think one of my big keys to this game is you're giving Manny Diaz one of the best defensive coordinators in the country, a month to prepare for this team, pretty much. And like we're gonna see different schemes. Like, I mean, this is a Rose Bowl game. You're gonna see there's no tricks left in the hat. I think just go all out, see what you can do, and get hyped up for one of the biggest games in the past few years for Penn State. So,
well, and I think something we probably should have hit off right off the top. Yeah, I think it's true that momentum does carry over to some of these games, but at the same time, a lot of ways it's almost kind of like you're starting the season over. Like you're going to see some of those issues that you see early on in the season. You're going to probably see tackling issues. You're probably going to see a few false starts, and how that impacts the overall course of the game, is something that you need to think about, because by the end of the season, Penn State had really cleaned up a lot of those issues that they had early on, and they were playing pretty clean football by the end. So
I agree with that, Matt. I think a lot of the mental and taking those mental reps. I mean, you're not going to get any faster or get any stronger during this time in between. It's really just going to be making sure that you're staying sharp, remember, knowing the plays and just the cadence and getting you back in the sync of that.
Yeah. I think you will see some things like that, but also it's very different from the beginning of the season, primarily with your young guys. I mean, at this point, they have a full season under their belt, and that's where you would expect that some of the mistakes they were making earlier in the year maybe not have been as much rust-driven as it was just being new to the game of college football. And now they have a full season under their belt with these few weeks in between here that coaches always talk about how critical like these few weeks are. That's why like teams that are struggling to make a bowl game, like one of the big reasons they want to make that bowl game is for these weeks of practice and everything else leading up to it. So I'll be curious to see how that translates to this game. It's funny because I mean, I don't think our bowl performances have been historically bad. And I just under Franklin, and I look at it, I'm like, how is this any different? It's just a extended bye, really. And we can't handle the bye week. But we seem to handle the bowl break a little better. So
it's the second bye. That's why the first one we don't do well with.
Well, if we played in one of those early bowl games like this week, like if we were in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, we'd probably struggle. But we work our way out, flip flop back and forth between prepared and unprepared by the time we get there. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting from that perspective, from a health perspective. We were talking about controlling the line of scrimmage. A chance that Olu comes back for this game, potentially. They haven't ruled it out. A chance Caden Wallace comes back. Those are going to be, we talked about how this is going to be a physical game. Those are two boosts that could really, help to the running attack, help to everything on the offensive side of the football.
Now, this is quick Wikipedia search, so don't hold this to fruition, but
whenever Penn State, start with this is Wikipedia. So
well, this is Penn State's 30, 19-2 in bowl games. Yeah. That's true. I mean, that's according to Wikipedia. So
I believe that. I mean, you're talking historically. Yeah, I was just looking back at our recent performances.
16, 6 and 1. 16, 6 and 1 in major bowl games. So Rose, Orange, Sugar, Fiesta, Peach, and Cotton.
But even games that we've lost recently, like I was thinking back to the you got Matt thinking.
Yeah, I was doing the math under Franklin. So I think he's 2-4, right? Gator Bowl loss, Rose Bowl loss, Fiesta Bowl win, Citrus Bowl loss, Cotton Bowl win, and then Outback Bowl loss, right?
Yep.
So
and exactly what I was just going to say here is when I said that, like, we may not have won all those games, but I don't think it was just a pure lack of preparation or that we were unprepared. Like that Rose Bowl game, I mean, that was just a phenomenal football game. We came out on the losing end of it. Even that Kentucky game, like that was a fun game. I mean, it started out so ugly, but I mean, the fight they showed and the way we nearly came back in that game, that was awesome to be at. If we could have pulled off that comeback, that would have been just an incredible bowl win. But all of those games, I mean. I just
don't know. Last year's bowl game wasn't that great.
Exactly. So our Arkansas, I mean, that was just do you even remember? Like, I barely remember that game. It's just no one cared about it.
I remember Parker had an amazing catch.
Players didn't care.
Yeah,
the fans
what
didn't
you
care.
Expect.
It's almost hard, like you have to think so hard to who even played, and then to try and think about the actual game itself. It's like just a blur. No one cared about that game.
Sean Clifford played, so. And you look at some of those losses, like the Gator Bowl, Hackenberg goes out, and actually McSorley was the one that almost led the comeback. In the Citrus Bowl,
Wait,
McSorley goes
I
out.
thought that was a Tax Slayer Bowl.
Oh, Gator Bowl,
It
sorry.
it
No,
it
Tax
was
Slayer Gator Bowl, right? Yeah.
yeah, I
Oh
don't know.
yeah,
I know it
maybe
was
it's
the
a Gator
Tax
Bowl.
Slayer Bowl, but yeah, I was at that game as well down in Jacksonville. That was pretty much Georgia's like last
Right.
year. That was when they were starting their climb to become this national powerhouse that they've been
That's
the
another
past few
game where
years.
that's another game we were losing up front, and then we almost make this great comeback and win the game.
Yeah. Well, and then McSorley got hurt in the Citrus Bowl. So, like, well, I mean, honestly, if history repeats itself, Sean Clifford is not going to finish this game, but um, we'll just have to see what happens.
A very morbid episode so far between Virginia, Mike Leach, and now we're talking about Clifford getting hurt. So,
Well, I
all
mean,
you guys,
that's
happy,
what you
Merry Christmas, right?
Yeah,
Coco
Merry
was
Christmas.
basically calling for that all season long. So,
I was gonna say I'm talking about factual things that have actually occurred. Matt's calling for something to happen. That's a big difference.
no, I just said if history
he's
holds true.
he's in a right for
And I didn't
basic
say-
blues when Clifford separates his shoulder or something. Oh yeah, I predicted this a week prior. So
Yeah, you gotta get those. You gotta get those clicks.
I'll cut the footage for you ahead of time.
Drive the revenue. Um, so I mean, other things on this game. I think Utah. It is pretty similar to Michigan. They're a ground and pound football team.
I'm not sure I understand.
Oh, thank you, Siri. I don't think anybody else understands me either. But ground
that was
ground and
bad.
ground and pound. Don't know how their passing a game is going to fare without their leading receiver. Let me look. Yeah, they do have. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna when I was looking at season stats between us and Utah, we're very similar in a lot of areas. And even if you look at the power indexes and things like that on ESPN and the efficiencies and stuff, there's not a lot that separates us two. We definitely have the defensive edge, not by much. They have the offensive edge, not by much. I think this is a game where I do think defense is going to decide this game. I think it's just a matter of can our offense move the ball on their defense, and can our defense shut them down, which I think we will.
Yep. And we say it, or at least I say it almost every game. I think you're gonna have to try to depend on the passing game a little bit. I'm sure we're gonna go and try to establish the running game, but that's the one area where if you're gonna pick a weakness in this Utah defense, that's where it would be. I think so. Let's see what Mike Yurcich has schemed up. Again, you have a month to prepare. I think the passing game was impacted when Parker went out and trying to shift spots around and who's going to play the slot now, who's going to be the number one, who's going to be the deep target, all that kind of stuff. But see if they can get creative with it.
I think that plays to an advantage to a degree, though, right? Because then Utah is not necessarily sure who to scheme for either, right? I mean, you could watch all this film on Parker, but then the next guy who's stepping in, you don't have a lot to work with. So it could be a good opportunity, I think, for Penn State.
I think one thing
I was thinking of this. No, I was just thinking of this too. I don't know if this will really come into play for either us or Utah, but the fact that these bowl games don't go against your 4 games for a redshirt season. I was trying to think if we have anyone right on that cusp that could play in this game and not lose a red shirt.
Oh, we do. I can't. I know there are a few, but I can't think off the top of my head.
But I mean, that's an interesting little loop to throw in there because I mean, you have all hands are on the table, really.
I think we're talking about defensively for this game. I think if there's one, like you said, Joey Porter sitting out. I think if there's one position that we can afford to lose one of our starters, who's it seems like a first round draft pick, is our secondary, because you'll have Marquise Wilson, Kalen King, Johnny Dixon, all these guys that have been playing so many snaps this year. And obviously Joey Porter's been out for a few games towards the end of the season where we haven't really skipped a beat. Obviously Joey Porter's a generational talent, going to be a first round pick, but I think if that's a position that we're going to be a guy opting out, is one that we can afford to miss.
Yeah, because I mean, you touched on it a little bit there, but Kalen King and Dixon coming down the stretch, I mean, they were playing some good football. Kalen King stuck out quite a few games coming down the stretch on how well he was playing. So I agree. It's not a killer. It's not like he's our one and only guy back there that can get things done. It's not, you never want to lose. I shouldn't say lose a guy like that, but you never want to see a guy like that not playing when he's sitting on your roster. It's just the world we live in now. I don't blame him. I have a lot of respect for these guys that have declared for the draft but are still playing. Joey Porter's in a little unique situation here where he's like, he had that lingering injury all season that it's not like, who's to say if he wasn't 100%, he wouldn't be playing. Same with Parker. So it's hard to throw stones at any of those guys.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of talk over the last couple of weeks with that decision. You can even argue that does it actually benefit Penn State more in the long run for him to sit out, maintain his draft stock, be potentially the first, but he would be like the first defensive back taken in the first round of the draft if he goes at Penn State. So, in the long run, does that actually do more for the program than playing in this game? So
but this is a little bit off topic, but do you guys see that Bryce Young is gonna be playing for Alabama? He didn't opt out. He's probably gonna make one of the first picks probably in the draft this year, but he's gonna be playing.
And Will Anderson too. I mean, honestly, that's just probably the fear of Nick Saban in both of them to not opt out. But it's good. I mean, it's a good thing for college football. I mean, I don't think anybody loves these opt outs, even if you understand it. And from a business perspective, it's not what people want to see. So
yeah, in these big bowl games, you want to see all the best players play, but in the end, it's the player's decision. You understand if they don't play, especially their top round draft pick with millions of dollars on the line. It's easy for us to say about it, but these guys are talking about $1 million in signing bonuses and stuff. So
yeah. It's just so situational and game dependent.
I was in the same situation when I was leaving college, but I chose to take all my finals. I didn't opt out. Tried to, but I didn't.
Trent and I decided to play spike ball during finals week.
I'm glad it all worked out and we could have this podcast together.
That's where we were going.
No injuries.
Yeah.
All righty. Are we gonna? Anybody have any final words on the Rose Bowl before we move on?
No. I mean, it's a big win. I mean, it's a big game. If we could win this game, it's huge. It's huge for momentum. It's a huge way to cap off the win. It's huge for the program and its history. We only have one Rose Bowl win, right?
Yep, 94.
So
again,
and Trent, I do want to say I want to congratulate us for helping Penn State sell out their allotment of tickets for the Rose Bowl. So
hey, we did our part. Crazy stat I seen. The last Big Ten team to win the Rose Bowl that's not Ohio State is all the way back in 2014, which blew my mind, honestly. It was Michigan State 2014. So
yeah. I just go back to, I think I said it on the last episode too. Win or lose, you have to capitalize on this now. That's one thing that Franklin has talked about with, not necessarily doing after the 2016 season. You hear with Pat Kraft talking last week and some of the more high level conversations that were being had. It seems like they're doing that. So win or loss, you have to make the most of this because college football is changing.
And I think there's a big difference between the 2016 season. We were disappointed to not make the playoffs, but that Rose Bowl was still a huge game. And even though we lost it, we sort of took it as a positive. It was an incredible game, one of the best games of all time, the turnaround of that season to even be in the Rose Bowl. And we were grateful. This season sort of has a similar feel where it's okay, we have those two losses. It's a great way to end, but I don't think we'll be as satisfied with a loss in this game as we were in the 2016 season.
So I was going to ask this for my last call, but I think it's a good time since you guys brought it up. So a close win or a close loss, I think it's, I don't want to say it is what it is, but I think it's good if we get the win. Obviously it's, bad if we get the close loss, but if we get a blowout win, I think that says a lot about the program. What are you guys feeling if it's a blowout loss? I mean, God forbid, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, what does that kind of do for the program?
I feel like a blowout win means a lot more. A blowout loss.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a blowout loss is just you put it behind you and it's.
But do you think it hurts the program at all? I feel like a blowout win would definitely help us. I mean, You know,
the
you see
only
what I'm trying to say, I guess.
I don't think it hurts anything on recruiting. I don't think it hurts anything like with inside the building going into next year. The only thing I think it does is it ruins some of the goodwill that the coaching staff, in particular James Franklin, has built up over the last couple of months of the season going into next year. I think if you look sloppy, if you lose a game in that fashion, I think you're going to have a lot of the fan base be pissed off. Yeah, whether that's right or wrong, I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
Especially because we don't have the opt outs. Like when Arkansas last year, I mean, you could look at it and be like, no one cared. Players didn't care. We didn't care. The opt outs. This is one of the you can't point to that stuff because like we do care. The players aren't opting out. They obviously care. There's no excuses.
Yeah, I mean, because to me, I haven't heard a lot lately of people saying get rid of Franklin. Obviously, early in the year, I mean, like when we did our preview episode, we were all even kind of like on the fence. Obviously, Trent, you made good points about who would you bring in, even if you did get rid of him. I feel like if we get blown out, though, I think that kind of starts up conversations again of is Franklin the guy? And I think we'd want to avoid that going into next year.
You're gonna have that never ending. I mean,
yeah,
every win, every loss. You don't hear much now. Exactly, we finished the season strong.
That's
when
what
he was
I'm
struggling
thinking.
to beat when he lost to Michigan and Ohio State. It's like everyone was like, "Who cares if we go 10-2? He's never going to beat these two teams." Everyone wanted him fired. Then it's always going to happen. It's just that's a topic for the offseason, but it's a risky game. Yeah. Florida fans have started a GoFundMe for so already for a buyout of a coach that they just hired that has like a $40 million buyout. So year one.
Yeah. Yep. Until he wins that big game, every loss is going to be big game James all over again. So, all right, let's move on and get this wrapped up because people have holiday preparations to make. So, Coco, let's do pick your plate.
Oh yeah, I forgot Coco's making cookies.
I'll be eating them probably, but quick recap here for the weeks 14 and 15. So some of the conference championships and the Army Navy games.
Now is when he's really going to pull some funky math because no one remembers what happened 3 weeks ago. So
well, it's very simple. We all sucked. You guys went 3-5. I went 4-4. So I was like one game better.
Always seems to be.
Let's see here.
Okay, well, we should not be held against for that under of that Army Navy game. That should be a win. Bogus. What a bogus over.
Stupid overtime. But yeah, as an aggregate, we're still 186, 150, and 8. So it's pretty good. I'm in first, Winnie's in second, Matt's in third, Trent's in fourth. And I'm starting to run away with it, but you guys can check my math then. So
I certainly will. I got off next week, so I'll take the time to do it.
He's probably got like a hidden cell in Excel that has like 20 in it.
Yeah.
When he does
when Coco gets one win, add 20,
listen, maybe
add 20 to his.
You'll feel some free time.
The Clevin from The Office.
Yeah.
Here, I'll send it to Trent because he'll have some free time when we flying 6 hours to and from LA. So he'll have some time to look at it if he wants to.
No such thing as free time.
Check for those if statements.
Let's get these going here. So our game right now, Utah's favored by 2.5. The over under is 52. So we'll pick both sides of this. Matt, we'll start with your score prediction and your picks here.
Yeah, I have us winning 34-31. I mean, it's really a toss up. I mean, the line shows that I would be not surprised if we lose. I mean, it's a toss up, but I'm going to go with the momentum that we have, 34-31, which would put us over the 52.
Yeah, I'm agree with Matt here. I think
I was
these
waiting for
Rose
him to
Bowls
say
the
my
past
name.
years have just been sort of nuts. That our Rose Bowl in 2016. You guys hear me?
Yep. Sadly, yeah. Uh-oh.
I think we're frozen here.
No, you're fine.
No, I can hear you guys.
All right,
it was frozen on my screen.
While he's figuring out Winnie, what do you got?
Winnie, you go.
As Kyle's talking about his favorite Christmas movie or children's movie, Frozen, I'm gonna go with taking PSU. I got him winning 35
wow, that was
to
a good
28.
one.
I'm also I'm taking us personally. I will probably take an alternate money line for us. I have way too much confidence in this defense. I've been very big on our defense coming down the stretch. They have yet to disappoint me, and I just think this is another one where we talked about it, but I think we're going to get pressure on Cam Rising. I think we're going to put them in some tough situations with some defensive schemes, and I do think our defense is just going to hold them steady.
Do you think we're going to be the best team that Utah plays all year, or think USC is still better than us?
And I mean, if you, I would not say we're the best team that they played all year.
I'd agree with that.
Food for thought. I'll take us in the over. Make it quick before my Wi-Fi freezes out here. Fiesta Bowl here. TCU and Michigan won the football playoff games. That over under is 58.5. So, Winnie taking the over.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. All right, Matt, you want to give some little tiny bit more insight than that, but.
Yeah, you didn't ask me.
Well, Winnie has.
Well, Winnie, we know you don't have anything. It's all right.
It's fine. I'll
saying.
say my thoughts. You don't care. It's okay. Matt, please.
Anyway, like I'm going over too. I mean, the analytics I think actually say take the under, but I don't see this being a close game. Or not, I'm sorry. I don't see this being a low scoring game. I think it's either
close game. Your whole argument was that it's going to be a toss up either way.
No, we're talking about TCU Michigan. We're not talking about our game anymore. Yeah, get with it.
We're in shambles.
Let's go.
Kyle's
listen,
pros.
It's been our 2 weeks. We get the train back on the tracks here.
Hey. Where's the over? We're not picking the over under of our own game.
We already said it. You're the only one that didn't say it.
I thought I took the under because of our defense and stuff.
I didn't say over or under.
See, you gotta ask him.
Well, then, what do you want?
Over
Trent?
under.
I hate picking these games.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trent, what's your score?
I am taking the under.
Jeez.
All right, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. So I either see TCU Michigan. I either see Michigan running away with it, similar to what they did in the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State, or I see it being a shootout. Either way, I think it's going over. So, Trent,
you want to pick this one now?
Yeah. I mean, I'll go. I for a lot of the same reasons, I do think it's also going to go over. I see this one being a shootout. These playoff games, I mean, I feel like, and I don't know, I don't know this off the top of my head, but I feel like a lot of times we see shootouts more than we just see these ugly defensive games.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I'm going over for the sole reason I just want to see points. That's no math behind it, no actual inside knowledge. I just want to see points.
Trent, I wonder if part of it's just being that they have so much additional time after the regular season ends to come up with some, I don't want to say new scheme per se, but a lot of new plays and incorporate them in just because of that ample time.
Yeah.
And the defenses just don't really, I don't know how to play against it.
Yeah, I think it's that, and you just have, a lot more aggressive. It's it's the playoffs, win or go home.
Yeah, that's true.
There is no
you made it to your
end, keep it close.
Your end goal for the season. Yeah.
Whether you lose by 80 or 8, it's zero difference.
Yep.
Got the other football playoff game here. We got the Peach Bowl between Ohio State and Georgia. Georgia's favored by 7. Trent will go first for that one.
Yeah, I think Ohio State pulls this off. So obviously I like Ohio State here. I honestly think Ohio State can pull off the upset here and beat Georgia. I just think most of the country's writing Ohio State off here after the way Michigan beat them so soundly. They're still Ohio State. I think Georgia at times this year has shown, they've shown some vulnerabilities. They've showed up big in the big games. I'll give them that, but they've had some games that were not the best. So
I think this game's going to be pretty close. I think if we were picking the over under, I think it would be under just because I feel like it's just going to be a just tight game all around. And I think part of me, I just want to see a Michigan-Ohio State championship. I think it would be just a cool thing to see. I know we talked about last time how Matt doesn't want to see it, but I think it'd be cool for college football to see a Ohio State-Michigan championship game. So I'm taking Ohio State to cover.
Screw the Big Ten. I think I agree in logic there. I think Ohio State's a team with new life. I think, a lot of people are writing them off. I think they still have a lot of talent. They're going to be able to keep this close, but Georgia is the best team in the country in my opinion. They've had some clunkers, but they've shown up in every big game. So I think Georgia ultimately pulls this one out, even though Ohio State covers.
Winnie?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Matt and most of the country, I guess, of writing off Ohio State. I just didn't really feel like they were that great all year. Even when we played them, I thought we should have won that game. I mean, when Michigan played them then too, I just felt like, I don't know. So to me, it was kind of, I think it's kind of an easy go to say Georgia.
Winnie.
This
It's the opposite. The fact that they beat us is just such a quality win because we are such a good football team.
But not good enough to be in the top 10. I learned that much.
Yeah.
So
this isn't good so
Gotta love
far.
this conference
We all have the
championships.
same picks. We all have the same picks except for Trent picking the under in our game.
well,
So
now
far,
we're gonna really test your math.
Kyle,
and
you
see.
shouldn't have
Wait.
said anything now.
How do we all didn't I just take Ohio State?
We all took
Yeah.
Ohio State to cover.
Oh, we
Did we
all
all
took
take
Ohio State.
I took Georgia.
Winnie took
Kyle.
Georgia.
Oh, wait, that's my fault. I thought you were saying Ohio State. All right.
Now we can see how this falls apart.
This.
Wonder the math is off.
All right, Sugar Bowl, Alabama, Kansas State. I'll go here first. I'm taking Kansas State based off their Big 12 performance. Also, even though Will Anderson and Bryce Young are playing, does Alabama want to be there? I mean, they were supposed to be in the playoff this year. They're always a juggernaut, etc. I think from what Kansas State showed in their title game, I just like them to cover. I don't know if they'll win, but they'll at least cover that 6 points, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with that is, like you said, with Bryce Young playing, like their two biggest studs are both playing, and I think that sort of flows down like top to bottom, where everyone else is like, well, these guys are playing and putting their bodies on the line. Why shouldn't I? So I do think Alabama's back.
I personally think if Alabama gets after Kansas State right in the beginning defensively, I think they got a good shot to win. But if they don't do that, I just think Kansas State's been shocking people all year. So I'm going to go with Kansas State.
I
Matt?
agree with Trent. Bama. I think Nick Saban will have them ready to play. So keep it short.
All right. Last one here. Orange Bowl, Tennessee, Clemson. Clemson's favored by 6. Matt, we'll go there first for that one.
Yeah, I'm going to take Clemson. I think they're off. North Carolina has a very bad defense, but looks like the offense got a bit of a spark with Cade Klubnik in the ACC championship game. Tennessee has one of the worst passing defenses in the country. So I think Clemson is going to be able to win this one and keep that high potent Tennessee offense at bay.
Our buddy Jeff told us to hammer the Tennessee line, so therefore I'm gonna hammer Tennessee because I'm gonna ride with Jeff because I'm a rider.
What is
So
Jeff now?
I don't know why I didn't put it together till now that orange versus orange in the Orange Bowl.
Everyone's been talking about that for like 4 weeks now. The
That's
most
juicy.
orange bowl, the most orange bowl ever.
That's juicy.
Well, I don't care about everyone else. I'm busy. I don't have time for Twitter like you do.
Well, you got to keep your ear to the ground. You're a media personality now. You got to know what's going on.
Here to the streets.
I like
no
Clemson.
Twitter fingers.
Clemson for Trent. Winnie.
I was back and forth. I like Kyle said, Jeffer said, rock with Tennessee, and I've been doing that all year. For the most part, it's been good to me. I know that Clemson, I guess, is losing some edge rushers, so I think that'll help Tennessee. So I'm gonna go with Jeff and Kyle and take Tennessee.
Dabo gave the shirt off his back to Franklin when in need, so least I could do is return the favor by picking them.
Jeff gave me the shirt off his back, his hoodie, his car keys. So I gotta go with Jeffer.
BYOG, bring your own guts.
Tennessee 9-3 against the spread this year. Penn State 8-3-1 against the spread this year. So there's a little fun fact for you.
All right,
We're a little rusty. Facts.
We're a little rusty. We need to get this in under 40 minutes. So let's hit last call quickly and let's do this fast. So who wants to kick us off? Winnie, you look like you want to kick us off. Oh no, you did your
We're here.
Trent wants to kick us off.
If you want.
No, you're good.
So there's been a lot of talk about stadium renovation. There's been a lot of talk about which like if we'd be playing a playoff game in Beaver Stadium and what upgrades are needed, blah 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 blah. Which upgrade do you want to see most? And then which upgrade would you want to see least? Like something that people they want, but it's like as a fan you don't want. For me, I do not want to see Beaver Stadium mostly seat backs. I like the bleachers. They're not the most comfortable, but I just think seatbacks show, especially the environment, like in a game where it's not filled, everyone just spreads out in the bleachers. It still looks filled. If you look at that south end zone, that's all bleachers. You could sit there and pick apart every empty seat. It looks empty every game. So I think I just hate the seatbacks for the college game. I would probably go with phone signal for the biggest upgrade I want to see for all carriers. Like in a busy game, it doesn't matter what carrier you have. You can't even check other scores on ESPN. It's so bad. I'm not asking to be able to like
everyone except for
stream other
Winnie.
games.
Everyone except for Winnie. I
Yeah,
can't
but
send a text message. Winnie can.
let's be honest.
Winnie can stream a
that
bowl.
was an outlier. Most games, Winnie can't get anything to load either. Like I've had AT&T in there as well.
It's funny. Usually
can't-
during halftime, I actually have decent reception, and then it's at the end of the game when everyone's left, like gone, I have terrible service.
It's sporadic.
Yeah.
I think it's just funny how like I couldn't send text messages and Winnie streaming the like a Bama game or something like that. Like,
I know I was streaming the Texas game.
Oh yeah, it was Texas Bama. Yeah,
yeah.
that's why we have no service. It all goes to Winnie's phone.
Yeah, but you were streaming that game when it was like there had to be 10,000 people left in that stadium when you were streaming that game. It was empty.
It's like the blue-white game. I would agree with Trent and take it a little bit broader. I'm against anything that reduces the capacity of the stadium. That being one of the largest stadiums in the country is something that I draw pride in. I don't think there'd be anything that would knock us out of what we're second. I guess we're second, but I don't want to see any changes there. Cell phone service probably has to be on everybody's top of the list, but I would say either ticketing or expanding the concourses to make it a little bit easier to move around in there, especially like in TV timeouts and stuff.
Ticketing is a good one, but I mean, it's just so simple. Like, it does not have to be as complicated as they make it. I wouldn't even consider that an upgrade. I just consider it common sense.
Yeah, well,
I have a dumb one here, but could we get better hot chocolate? It's always watered down. In those cold games, it's always watered down. It feels
The first one we got was
very
bad.
very inconsistent, but I'm sure. I'm sure. In fact, I might be the donor to make that one come. Everyone else is donating for all these upgrades. It's like my donation is for better quality hot chocolate.
I agree with you guys for what you said. More of a question relating to yours. We never really talked about this again, but the beer, bringing the alcohol into Beaver Stadium, and we never really followed up on that. Did you guys think that actually, went poorly, became a distraction at all?
I think it's part of like
I think it went unnoticed, which is probably the best thing.
That's what I was just curious. I mean, we didn't follow up, so I'm assuming it just really didn't make that big of an impact as we had anticipated. At least not yet. Maybe next year.
I think the bigger thing is going to be these warmer weather games to see how, because that's when it's cold weather, no one's sitting there. Like, the number of people wanting to drink an ice cold beer and taking their hands out of their warm pockets in a freezing cold rainy game.
Maybe
West Virginia game's going to be nuts next year.
Yeah, like games like that'll be interesting.
Those boys can drink.
We can expand my hot chocolate proposal and make it an Irish hot chocolate.
Oh,
so there you go.
The coffee is actually the worst drink at the Beaver Stadium concession stand. Don't ever do it.
really?
I made the mistake once. It's literally just like they pick dirt from the ground on the field and just put it in a cup and put water in it. So
At least it's organic.
Well, I know you appreciate that. Coco, what do you got?
So mine is with all these opt-outs, with all these transfers, transfer portal, everything. From when we were Penn State fans, just going back, who would be one player that you would have said, he should stay around for one more year? Maybe he left too late for the draft, or transferred, or maybe sticking around one more year, whatever. Mine's Garrett Sickles. I think he was eligible to go to the draft. He could have stayed for one more year. He was good. He was second team all Big Ten for us, but he didn't do anything in the NFL. So I feel like one more year of development maybe could have been something. I thought it was an interesting take. Like, who do you think that would?
Yeah, I know what the way you're framing this question. I get it. My answer is not going to be the way you're framing this question, though. It's for more of a personal thing. I stistill hate the fact that we got robbed a year of Micah Parsons. Like, I I can't blame him. I can't sit here and say it was the wrong thing. So it wasn't the wrong thing. But the fact that we didn't get to see that guy in his full form as a more mature college football player, it's sad. Not just for us, but like the game of college football. To see what he would have been that year would have been insane.
Good one.
Saquon.
I mean, the fact that a year later he could just go out and dominate the NFL like he did, man, it would have been
Darn
crazy.
it, Matt.
So I would have had Saquon one more year.
Yeah.
Just bring him back.
Yeah. No, I mean, there are a lot of players over the years where you're like, yeah, it's probably not the best move for them to go to the NFL. I think honestly, probably the biggest impact one. That's what I was trying to think. Honestly, going all the way back to like Justin King. I think when Justin King left as a junior, he didn't go as high as I think he anticipated, and his NFL career never really panned out. That would be someone that I think would benefited by staying his senior year.
I thought Matt was going to go with Tony Carr.
Did KJ Hamler? He left early too, right? He didn't stay.
Yeah, he left a year early.
Because I think his NFL career really never panned out either. I didn't think.
He's hurt.
That's the thing.
Well, he's done.
Same with
He's
Saquon.
anything.
Saquon's been hurt all the time.
I mean,
At least
was hurt.
Saquon's had when he's healthy, he's making more of an impact than KJ.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, he also plays for Denver, so they haven't had a quarterback since Peyton Manning. So
yeah.
To the opposite. Is there like how many notable stories are there across all of college football where someone coming back truly like just destroyed their entire career? I'm sure there are, like where someone came back and did have like a career-ending injury when they could have been drafted. But
I'm sure you just don't hear about it, right?
Insanely slim.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of any off the top of my head. So, I mean,
Kyle Schumann probably that.
Yeah,
that high school injury.
If he didn't just wrestle,
he could have played for Penn State. He would have solidified that offensive line.
It's a whole what could have been.
Yeah, if he didn't go out for that wrestling team.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't even know Micah Parsons. He would have got that scholarship.
he'd be playing next to Jason Kelsey right now.
Yeah.
If he only would have.
Hey, Eagles went away from clinching the NFC East and NFC.
Oh, save it for them.
And the podcast.
Yeah, no,
Go Birds.
I still got to do mine. Yeah. All right, mine's big picture, long term. What would be better for Penn State? Making the playoff in a 4-team format, or Drew Allar winning the Heisman? So basically, make the playoff next year, or Allar win the Heisman.
It has to be making the playoff. As much as I would love to see Drew Allar winning the Heisman, it would have to be making the playoff.
I think that the question is a little silly because if you win the Heisman, you're good. It's like right now the Heisman is the best player of the best team. It's been that award the past few years now.
You mean except for the Heisman winner this year, who is on a team that's not in the playoffs? So
Caleb Williams is 100% going to win the Heisman.
Caleb Williams won the Heisman, and USC is not in the playoff.
Yeah, but
I like the aggression though, Kyle.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest.
Kyle didn't know the Heisman took place yet.
I didn't know the Heisman took place yet.
That's why you come to Tailgate Talk. You can't get this coverage anywhere else. And
Can't
that's
make
the
this
truth.
stuff up.
Okay. Cracker Jack as it breaks.
Well, at least
real fans, real talk.
Okay, but Caleb Williams was on the cusp of making the playoff. We weren't. So I feel like you're.
Well, we're talking about this upcoming.
Okay, but
like
I feel like
next year.
If Drew Allar's going to,
how do you know
if Drew Allar wins the Heisman, are we not in contention for the playoff?
Probably, but the question wasn't contention. It was making it.
Especially in a 12-team. Well, you said we're in a 14 playoff.
Yeah, so next
year.
Basically.
Next year, would you rather see us?
I'd rather see us in the
playoffs,
sure.
or
I'd rather see us in the playoffs. Yes.
Yeah, I'd rather see us in the playoffs personally. I think individual awards, they're great, but at the end of the day, team sport, I'd rather.
Oh my gosh!
Well,
he has to bring his youth coaching experience.
That's a hallmark right there. It's a hallmark moment. You got to have them.
He has that quote hanging on his wall to his right.
Teams everything.
When he goes out of it, he hits it going out of the bedroom every night or whatever.
yeah.
Coach vibe check, but I mean, I'll go the opposite. I think given that the playoff is expanding, you're probably going to make it anyway. Hopefully Penn State being in the top 12 to 15 range every year. The one thing that's held us back is a quarterback. So I think if you had a Lar come in, win the Heisman, that could boost the profile from that position and maybe lead to some more long-term success down the line in a 12-team format. So
who do you think the last true stud was that came in as a stud and was recruited by everyone in the nation and then left as like a star as well?
At Penn State.
Defensively, offensively, I'm saying, like defensively, like Micah Parsons, he came in, everyone in the country wanted him. He was highly touted. He showed it on the field, left. He's a star now. Offensively, who was the last person? Like Saquon he was only a 3-star. Like
Derek Williams.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like it would be huge for that, Matt. Like landing that 5-star and his career not derailing. Like if Christian Hackenberg would have left a stud, you could probably say him, but like it'd be huge to land someone like that, or like a Julian Fleming that he would have been in that category, couldn't land him. I feel like it's been a while since we had someone of that caliber come in, and actually like leave as the same caliber.
What about QB for Clemson? Plays for the Jaguars now.
No, we're talking about Penn State.
For Penn State, though, Kyle.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking in general. Oh,
well, Alabama has like 10 of those guys come in and out every year. So.
What do you think that is, though, for Penn State that maybe causes that? Right, you got a big name guy who comes in and he just falls short. Then what's expected? Do you think it's?
I feel like James Franklin has been so close, and we've said this for a long time. He's so close to getting over the edge. Even in recruiting, he has great recruiting classes, but he's just so close to being elite. We have all these like top tier players that were in their final 5, and we just never seem to be the hat selected. Micah Parsons probably let him slip too, but the whole situation that went down at Ohio State like sort of worked out in our favor when he was criticizing the coaching.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I think you would prefer to have that happen, especially at a position at quarterback where hopefully we're going to find out how that can change a whole team's fortune. So
yeah. I mean, I think we have another one brewing right now too in Singleton. I mean, everyone in the country wanted him. His freshman year so far, he's looking like a stud, and I'm sure he'll be great when he moves on. So I'd say he'll be the first one offensively. Drew Allard, TBD.
So. All right. Well, let's get this thing wrapped up. Stay with us on Tailgate Talk for all this Cracker Jack news. When the Heisman Trophy winners announced, Coco will make sure to have an instant reaction pod. But
yeah,
go Birds.
You know what? I got to watch the whole Heisman recap on my flight out to LA. Matt, coming out with us? Are you coming out with us?
Good. I mean, you could use the time to study.
Kyle will be on the flight thinking he's watching it live. He'll be like, "Oh my god, Caleb Miller just won the Heisman."
That's what Matt was saying.
Home Depot.
I really thought when Trent got the tickets for the Rose Bowl, I thought, you know what? Maybe Matt's gonna surprise us, and maybe he's gonna sit with us. No,
Kyle, I can't find the Heisman odds.
Well, joke's on you. Even if I was going, I wouldn't sit with you. But all right, we're pulling the plug. We are Tailgate Talk. Follow Trent and Kyle for
Merry Christmas.
For on location reporting from the Rose Bowl, and Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. So let's go.